Do attackers have a favorite cloud hosting provider to attack? In other words, do they select which infrastructure to attack based on where it's hosted? Well, that's a question I tried to answer last year during my research at the SANS Institute. Anytime a company hosts its systems or data in the cloud, they do face significant financial loss or exposure of private records. Just recently, in January of 2026, the Navia Benefits Solutions breach exposed nearly 3 million tax and health records of their customers. By answering this question, we may be able to help inform architects and engineers on which cloud hosting provider to select. Hi, I'm James Smith, and today I would like to explore my research with you. The title of my paper is The Flavor of Clouds. Are some cloud platforms more attractive to attackers? You can find this paper located at the link below at the SANS Technology Institute website, along with many other excellent research papers. The bottom line up front of my research is this. It seems like attackers may actually want to avoid attacking systems housed in AWS or Amazon Web Services, more so than having a preference for attacking systems within a particular cloud hosting provider. This could be because AWS is employing an undocumented security feature that mitigates bots both in bot traffic to systems located within AWS and bots residing within AWS. I walked through the analysis of the data and how I came to these conclusions in great detail in my paper. In this video, we will do a quick overview. My hypothesis was attackers are widely known to be opportunistic. The amount of comparable interactions should not show a statistically significant difference between the three cloud providers. I tested Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and AWS. It was determined that the best way to execute the experiment for this research was to use a honeypot. A honeypot is a lightweight system that looks very enticing for attackers once deployed on the internet. The honeypot is actually a trap, and it's safe for attackers to attack. And while they are interacting with it and attacking it, logs are being collected for analysis later. This honeypot had a unique design in that it had a gateway designed to separate the bots from the humans in the data. This was done by leaving what was likely only a human-readable link to some juicy data on each web server, and anyone that followed that would be led to a storage service that was then logged separately from the rest of the data. Once the data had been collected and analyzed, two things quickly became apparent. The first was that AWS was the least attacked cloud provider, and the second thing was there was not one interaction with any of the storage cloud services. This strongly indicated that not a single human attacker had interacted with any of the web servers deployed as part of the honeypot. While I don't have time here to cover all the extensive analysis that was completed on the data, I will cover the highlights here to hopefully walk you through to the same conclusions that I reached. One of the first things that I noticed when analyzing the data was it appears that attackers, in this case bot herders, were using less resources to attack the host hosted in AWS. That is, there were less unique IP addresses attacking the AWS honeypot. There were a lower count of usernames used when attempting to brute force the SSH terminal, as well as a much longer time to discover and begin attacking the AWS system was observed. I would like to quickly point out here that these numbers could be explained by an undocumented security system employed by AWS. However, I feel that this is countered by the reduced number of unique usernames observed in the brute forcing attacks against these honeypots. This seems to indicate that the attackers were simply using less resources to attack AWS. For me, one of the more interesting things that came out of the analysis of the data was that there was less shared resources attacking each of the cloud providers. In other words, it appears that bot networks are tailored to the cloud hosting provider they are attacking. Each cloud hosting provider saw their own unique set of bots attacking it. When analyzing where the attacks came from, it quickly became apparent that less bots reside in AWS as well. All right, so what does this mean when it comes time to apply this data to the real world? First things first, though, regardless of whatever cloud hosting provider you decide to use, you must use a current security framework to follow when deploying those systems. It also seems more likely that attackers are finding cloud storage services through breadcrumbs, for example, comments left behind in code by developers, more so than just randomly stumbling into it on the internet, though I am sure that happens as well. Based on what I saw, at best you have about 2 hours from the time of deploying a system to the time of compromise if you deploy that system with SSH and have easily predicted credentials. Also, many other security researchers have already discussed this, but I too saw that the web servers I deployed were attacked within minutes of deployment. Also, as discussed earlier, based on what I saw, it does seem like AWS likely has some form of mitigation in place that reduces the number of attacks observed by systems hosted in AWS, as well as a reduced number of bots that live there. For this reason, I would say offensive security engineers may want to pick another cloud hosting provider when placing attack systems out in the cloud. In conclusion, based on the fact that there was very little overlap between the bot networks seen attacking each of the cloud hosting providers, it does seem that they were tailored for the environment they were intending to attack. As of early 2025, I was unable to find any documentation explaining why I was seeing the data that I was seeing, but it does seem likely that AWS was and likely is still deploying some kind of mitigation strategy that was both reducing the number of attacks observed by the honeypot hosted within AWS, as well as the number of bots residing within AWS. Whatever the case may be, bot herders do seem to be aware of this and are allocating the resources accordingly. In other words, it does seem like they are attacking other cloud hosting providers more than AWS. And lastly, as with most research, my final conclusion is more research is needed. I just wanted to take a moment here and finish this video by saying I really enjoyed getting my master's degree from the SANS Technology Institute. I'm probably a little biased here, but I think they are absolutely one of the best in the business. What makes the SANS Technology Institute one of the best is that every single instructor is a practitioner first, and most of the classes involve a lot of hands-on keyboard labs. Also, if you'd like to read my research paper in full, you can find it by following the link down below. And again, I'm James Smith. Happy hunting and take care.